What is going on, guys? It's Lando from the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. I am solo today. I am here to answer every single one of your questions and get it. Yeah, it's exciting. It's week 9. We are ready to rock. There's a lot of inactives, a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to go through and figure out what to do with a lot of these players. We've got Antonio Brown back. We have Dez Bryant back this week. We have Adrian Peterson going against the Minnesota Vikings in a revenge game. So lots to talk about. Zeke is questionable. He might not play. So Tony Pollard might be the play. I'm excited to go through with all of you guys to figure out what to do and who to start. We've got Louis in the chat. We've got more guys coming in. What's going on, guys? I'm pumped to get here. He's got Justin Jackson, Antonio Brown, and DJ Dallas at the flex. So that's a really good question to start because Antonio Brown is one of the guys that we got to talk about. He's going to be a top 24 wide receiver for me this week. He's actually at number 24. So I'm going to start him ahead of guys like Deontay Johnson coming off that injury, even against Dallas, a really good matchup. Even Marvin Jones Jr. in a really good matchup against Minnesota, I'm going to consider starting AB. Amari Cooper in the opposite in a really tough matchup, I'm going to start AB over him. I'm projecting right now that Chris Godwin is out for this game. Now, things could change if Godwin's in. If you have a Godwin and AB, I would start Godwin in that spot. You know, if Godwin is clear to play, can catch passes, he should be the number one guy in that offense. But if he's out, Antonio Brown is a very capable replacement. We've seen him have a good relationship with Tom Brady, and there's always that touchdown upside in Tampa Bay. So we've got some questions trickling in. To answer Louis' question, I would go with Justin Jackson. For the floor play, no question, Justin Jackson is a very competent running back. He seems to be getting most of the work between the tackles, even in that goal line role that we thought Joshua Kelly was going to get. Justin Jackson is a fringe. I mean, he could be running back 15, 18 this week, where Antonio Brown is running back or wide receiver 24 for me. So Justin Jackson is a great spot against Vegas. Yeah, I like Jackson this week, and you could feel confident going with him. If you're behind and you need just a pure dart throw play, upside play, I get why you would go with AB. I'm being told that the audio is messed up on this. What is going on? Scotty, any word on the audio? So it says the audio sounds metallic and echoey. Alright, I'll get this fixed out. Thanks, guys. Alright, I'm not sure why that would be. Yeah. I'm gonna go. Alright, now my audio is coming through. Audio, I could just try to go. Alright, guys, let's try that maybe. How's that looking? How's that sounding, guys? No dice, guys? Alright. Alright, there we go. Sounds good. 2 feeds coming through my streaming situation. There we go. Alright. Cool, guys. Alright, sorry about that. Much better. I will go with... so, Easy in the chat has a question between Kyler Murray, Big Ben. He's got DJ Moore and Chase Claypool. So, when it comes down to quarterbacks in that situation, we know Big Ben has a really good matchup this week against Dallas. The game script could lead more to a James Conner game. But, I mean, Big Ben on paper is in a great matchup. I would start him over guys like Cam Newton in the same matchup, or in a different matchup, in a tougher matchup potentially, or at a good. Cam is playing the Jets, so it's still good, but I would still go with Kyler Murray against Miami. Miami's defense has been tough lately, but hopefully both teams can score, which should lend Kyler Murray in a better game script. I just don't think you can sit down Kyler Murray in this scenario. Between DJ Moore and Chase Claypool, DJ Moore is ahead in my rankings, but I understand if you want to go with the upside in Claypool. Again, it's a great game script. Claypool is better when Deontay Johnson is out, but they do script Claypool in quite a bit in weird goal line packages. He's taking jet sweeps around. He's a guy that could take any catch to the house, and like Eric was saying, that he doesn't want to have the pain of watching DJ Moore just not get receptions all game. So I get that. On paper, my recommendation would be DJ Moore, but I understand the upside in Claypool. He's a dynamic rookie. Do I start the Titans or Chiefs DST? Early defense question here, guys. I have the Chiefs DST ranked higher. I know that Christian McCaffrey is back, but we're hoping to get sacks. I don't really care how many points the other team score, really. I'm hoping that the Chiefs D-line get to the quarterback, knock Teddy Bridgewater down. That's kind of what I'm going for. The Titans defense is still good against Chicago, but they've been running the ball so much that it's hard to get sacks and interceptions against Nick Foles. It's possible. I think they're both in a decent spot. Technically, I have the Chiefs ahead, but defense, it's tough, man. You got to almost flip a coin. Titans defense is still in a good spot. So thanks for the question, man. Make sure to like the video, comment, and if you don't already subscribe to the channel, we are trying to reach 600 subscribers. Once we get some more people watching, I'm going to go into some of the news and notes here and get some of the inactives going. But for now, I'm just going to keep on answering all these questions. We got lots coming in. It's going to be a long 2 hours. We are live until 12:45, just in time for me to set my lineups, guys. So Taryn Pickett asks, do we have Dobbins or Lindsey? That's really tricky. Lindsey's been playing really well lately, but I do like Dobbins. It looks like Mark Ingram will not play this week. So I would start J.K. Dobbins. He's a top 24 running back for me this week, and I think he's a dynamic player. It's going to be Melvin Gordon still will be involved in that Atlanta game. Atlanta's defense is a sieve when it comes to everything, wide receivers, running backs. But I think J.K. Dobbins has a really breakout game. It should be a good matchup against Indianapolis. They have a tough defense, but J.K. Dobbins is going to be involved in all facets, whether it's between the tackles and pass catching. Phillip Lindsay hasn't really been getting too many receptions lately. So I would go J.K. Dobbins, but great question. Thanks for the question. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, guys. Kendall, what is going on? I'm forced to start Zeke, Pollard, and Gallup. Gonna be a tough one. I don't think Zeke is playing. Now, we should know very soon. We should get a notification up soon if Zeke will be active for this game. I will keep you up to date on that. But not a really good matchup against Pittsburgh. It's going to be a rough one. I wouldn't watch that game. I would just hope those guys score a touchdown and go from there. Kendall, that's a tough one. All right. Bench 1, my wide receiver, Lockett, Godwin, AB, and Marvin Jones Jr. I'm going to sit Godwin because I don't think that he plays, but Marvin Jones Jr. and Lockett are an auto start between Godwin and AB. Play Godwin if he plays and play AB if Godwin sits. I think that's the way to go, Adrian. Thanks for the question. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, guys. All right, my audio's better. That's great. Derek, what is going on, Derek? Thanks for coming over. Mac is not hungover. It's just me today. He's doing his own thing, but it's all good. I'll be in. He's doing his own thing today, but he's in the chat. He's saying what's up, guys. So make sure to check out his Jonathan Taylor video. Mac did a great job this week. We are grinding every single day. He's got JT, Shepard, or Zach Moss at the flex. J Fang. What to do with that? So for me, it's between Taylor and Shepard. I do think Taylor will get will be better. We have faith that Shepard will be better rest of season. This isn't the game to really play Shepard. Washington is one of the best against wide receivers this week. So Sterling Shepard is not a locked in, even though when you look at it, Washington should be a great matchup. Golden Tate is out because they've had some disagreements in New York. I think he's going to get released from the Giants if things don't change. So Shepard is the number one in that offense. Darius Slayton is the deep ball. Sterling Shepard gets the targets. Between Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss, I think that's really tough. Zach Moss is getting some big praise in Buffalo. Right now, I've got Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss pretty much back-to-back in my ranks. Taylor is ahead, but it's mostly based on the talent and what we believe in Jonathan Taylor. So it is a tough scenario. I don't blame you if you just want to sit down Taylor and start Moss in a potential shootout versus Seattle. But right now I've got Taylor ahead, Zach Moss, Sterling Shepard. That's how I would go. But if you're behind or need some big plays, I think Zach Moss might provide you that more than Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor's more of a contrarian play, and you're really hoping that Baltimore gives up a big play kind of thing. Kind of like how the Pittsburgh defense gives up one big play to the running back, and that's what you're hoping from Pollard or Zeke to happen, where Baltimore is they're not as good against the run, but they're still solid defense. So Corey is asking about, what do you do with the Zeke situation? Can I start Jordan Howard or Moss instead? I think you could definitely start Zach Moss instead of Zeke if you have him. At least you know Zach Moss is going to play. I don't think Zeke plays this week. Even if Zeke does play, they play Pittsburgh. It's a tough game. It's going to be pounding Zeke through the middle over and over again and hoping that one of them pays off. It's not going to be a fun game to watch. You're sitting down all Cowboys until you see something from that offense. If Cooper or CeeDee Lamb or something goes off on your bench, that's okay. At least you know that these guys are getting production in what was a pretty terrible offense. If you started Cooper last week, he got one reception and that was it. And we were hoping that at least DiNucci would target the elite wide receiver Amari Cooper. So I'm sitting down all Cowboys if I can. Maybe Dalton Schultz if you're desperate, but that's only because the tight end climate is absolutely terrible. So Corey, I'm with you with this Zeke situation. I'm going to sit him down. I'm going to go with Moss instead. I can see that you could go with Jordan Howard, but again, that's not a great play either. So I would go with Zach Moss in that scenario. So thanks for the question, Corey. I haven't seen your name before, but it's possible you're already a subscriber. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we are here to help you out. And I want to thank everyone right now that has DM'd us on Instagram and Twitter, snap_fantasy. Mac has been grinding on there, answering every single one of your questions. I've had lengthy talks all night with you guys, talking through trades, talking through start sits. This is the time for the start sits, though. This is the time where all of our rankings and projections are done. This is where you get the most up-to-date information. If I would have told you to start Zeke Elliott over Zach Moss last week, or this past week, that information is now outdated. So this is the time we have the most up-to-date information. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are trying to get that 600 subscriber goal. You guys have been killing it. Griffin, good morning, everyone. Should I start AB at the flex? He has Beasley. Beasley is getting some good, Beasley is awfully safe. I would go with Beasley for a floor play. But Antonio Brown is who I would start ahead. So great question. Yeah, Ridley is out. Did that just come in? That Ridley is out for this game. I thought he was trending out, but I haven't seen the news come in, but he was questionable last time I saw. So great question about Hunter. Hunter about AB. I think you can totally flex Antonio Brown this week. It's going to be a lot better if Godwin is out. Right now I'm projecting Godwin to be out in this game, so that's why I have more of a confidence in Antonio Brown this week. It's a higher risk play, but we've seen that relationship with Tom Brady. I'm going to go through some stuff about AB in a little bit. We've got 11 people watching. Thanks for coming by, guys. Griffin, play C-Mac this week, or should I sit AJ Brown and move Justin Jefferson or Marvin Jones into the wide receiver spot and flex him? I am starting Christian McCaffrey this week. No question. He's back. They've waited long enough. You got to start Christian McCaffrey if you have him. The last thing you would want, even in a matchup against Kansas City, is if Christian McCaffrey goes off for 34 points and you sat him. Like, what are you thinking? You took him first overall. You got to start Christian McCaffrey. Last year, CMC scored 9 more fantasy points than the second running back play last year. He is so good. Their scheme is perfect for him. We saw Mike Davis thrive in that scheme. Mike Davis is not close to as talented as Christian McCaffrey. It's that team. It's the scheme. It's how they run the ball. It's how they pass the football to the running back. Start McCaffrey this week. As for your other guys, I like AJ Brown and Jefferson. Now, Marvin Jones Jr. is in a great spot, but we saw Marvin Jones Jr. play without Kenny Golladay early in the season, and he did not produce. He has had a couple really good games. He had a couple touchdowns this past week, and I know he's the number one in that offense now, but I could see Amendola get involved. Marvin Hall, is it Marvin Hall? Something Hall this week. He's going to be involved. I really love TJ Hawkinson this week, so I still think you're relying on a touchdown for Marvin Jones Jr. It could happen, but I think Jefferson's in a great spot. AJ Brown is a must start, so I would play your studs this week. Play who are the studs this week, and that's Jefferson, AJ Brown, and Christian McCaffrey. So thanks for the question, Griffin. I know you come by every live stream, so I want to thank you for coming in. John Fenton he's a 1-point PPR league, Stafford or Carr, and Pollard or Gus Edwards. That is really, really tricky, Mr. Fenton. Between Stafford and Carr, both are in a good spot. I think Stafford is in a better spot this week than Carr, but they're pretty much back-to-back. Let me see where I have Carr ranked right now. He's a top 12 quarterback. So technically I've got Carr ahead, but the news just came out. Stafford is still a top 20 quarterbacks. He's in a great matchup. I just think Carr has all of his weapons fully back. We're expecting Josh Jacobs to play this week. The Chargers defense has been good but not great. It could be a shootout in LA. I think Carr is the play. He's played good all year round except for that Cleveland game with the wind and the rain and all that stuff. So I think Carr is in a great spot this week, so that's who I would play. And then he asked Pollard or Gus Edwards. Oh man, probably Gus Edwards over Pollard this week. Just Pollard's in a really bad spot. I think he has, at this point, Pollard might have more explosiveness than Zeke Elliott, but against Pittsburgh, it's going to be a tough one. He could get out. You're really hoping for like a 35-yard burst run from Pollard for that to happen and Zeke to be out. So if Zeke does play, Pollard is basically useless. And Baltimore plays at the 1 o'clock games. So I think you got to play Gus Edwards for the volume he's going to get. And then Pollard would be an absolute dart throw and hoping that Zeke is out. So great question, though, John. Man, that's a tough spot. So if Ridley is out, would you go Devontae Parker or one of the waiver wire boom bust? Go to the waiver wire abyss. Boom bust guys like Mooney, Amendola, or Ruggs. He's projected to tie his opponent. So Derek, I thank you for telling me that you are projected to tie, because if you're projected to lose badly, I think Ruggs is a good play against the Chargers. But because you're projected to tie, man, oh man, I think Devontae Parker, we're really hoping that Tua starts to pass a little bit. Parker kind of saved his week with that touchdown this past week, but didn't really get much else work. So I think that Tua is a great passer. before this past week, it was always tank for Tua. He was a better quarterback than Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, all that stuff. So I think they could let the reins off Tua a little bit, let him pass a little more. If we saw Fitzmagic play for Miami, it would be a locked and loaded Parker start, but it's a little bit higher risk now with Tua at the helm. I do think Amendola presents some decent floor. Mooney has been a sneaky breakout wide receiver, and Ruggs is kind of a touch the ball 3 times, could go for 125 and a touchdown. Oh man, it depends on who you're going to drop, I suppose. Technically, I would have Devontae Parker over these guys, but it's close. It's close. I'm just gonna check my ranks real quick to confirm, but there's no way that I would project. Parker is a top 30 running back or wide receiver. Henry Ruggs is around the top 40-ish mark, so it's got to be Parker, but it's close. That's a really tough spot you're in, Derek. I'm not projecting really to play, so you gotta go with Parker this week. I'm in the same boat you are in, my man. So start Lamar or Herbert. That is another tough one. We have stay in the flames with Herbert, right? Like you gotta go with. I think you gotta go with Herbert this week. He could be a top 5, no question, top 10 quarterback this week, where Lamar against Indy, their linebackers are elite. They can get after him, and he's going to have to play outstanding to get away from these guys and to get him, to get his fantasy day worthwhile. He hasn't been throwing touchdowns. He's been running quite a bit, but not running in the end zone. So it's all Gus Edwards and DK and Dobbins. So yeah, I would start Herbert over Lamar Jackson. What a world we live in. Jay Fang, thanks for the question. I know you subscribe already, but hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot, guys. Captain Flowers, my man, I've seen him before. This guy's an every week coming. He's got Deontay Johnson, Justin Jefferson, Marvin Jones Jr., Corey Davis, and Mike Evans. Start 2. Man, Mike Evans has not been a very good wide receiver. He's not a guy that you can rely on. This past week with pretty much nobody, he had a decent game. Mike Evans is a top 20 wide receiver for me this week, but that's projecting Chris Godwin out. He's got Deontay Johnson, so I do have Mike Evans ahead of Deontay Johnson this week. But I would start Jefferson, and I would start Mike Evans. That would probably be the one. It does matter if you're down in the matchup, and you really need to hope that Deontay Johnson stays in that game the whole time. The last thing we want is for Deontay to have an ankle, have that hip injury, and go out, or knee, whatever it's been for Deontay Johnson. He can't seem to stay healthy. So sit down Deontay until he makes it through the game fully healthy. They might not need Deontay this week against Dallas. Now, they're projected to score a lot of touchdowns, and we hope for that to happen. Maybe we hope Deontay is going to be the guy. When he's fully healthy, he is the number one in that offense. I just don't know if he's fully healthy and if he can finish a full game. We want games to be competitive in Pittsburgh to make these guys really boom, for Juju Smith-Schuster to be the wide receiver we thought he was going to be. So I think the Detroit-Minnesota game could be a shootout. Justin Jefferson's in a great spot, and then I would go with Mike Evans over Marvin Jones Jr. So thanks for the question, and good luck, my friend. You've got such good wide receivers. It's tough to decide between those guys each week. He's got Antonio Brown versus the Saints or Robbie Anderson versus Kansas City. That is also tough. I would go with Robbie Anderson this week, though. Stick with Robbie. He's been solid. He's been getting the yards. He's been doing everything. Antonio Brown, although he's a top 24 wide receiver for me, I've got Robbie Anderson closer to that 15 mark. So we've got Tyler in the chat. He's got Deontay, Robbie Anderson, AJ Brown, Fournette, start 2. That is going to be Robbie Anderson and AJ Brown. That's what I would do. Tyler, thanks for the question. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are trying to reach that 600 subscriber goal. I'm going to have a little sip of coffee. This has been a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for coming in. We've got 22 watching. Get your questions in. I'm going to get to every single one of your questions this week. If it's a start sit, that's my job today. I'm going to talk through why I'm going to start your guy. I'm going to figure out if you're down in the matchup, who has the higher upside. If you are projected to win, if you had a guy like Davante Adams and you just need a safe floor, if you just need an Adrian Peterson, like my buddy Scotty, that's all you need. You hope for that 7 half PPR points just to get you that just so he doesn't lose you your matchup. But if you need the win, you go with a DeAndre Swift or you need a J.K. Dobbins to really get you because you're behind. So it makes a difference if you're ahead in the matchup or behind. So Scotty, can you go on Twitter and tweet out our link? I have not been on here, so if you could share it on our Twitter, on our socials, we can get more people in the chat. We've got Ethan in the chat. Full PPR, pick one wide receiver and one flex. He's got Crowder, Chark, AB, Fournette. Crowder has been really good this week. I think we're projecting Crowder to play. He's top 5 or he's near the top in fantasy points per game. He just needs to stay healthy. So right now I've got Antonio Brown ahead of Crowder. I don't have Crowder really playing this week, so I've got him kind of buried in my rankings. Against New England, it's not a super great matchup. Also, Sam Darnold is doubtful or out to play. It's hard to say if that's going to be good or bad for Crowder or not, but so I would start Antonio Brown over Crowder. They play Monday night, so we'll know if Godwin is in or out. If Godwin is in, I might lean Crowder. If Godwin is out, I lean Antonio Brown. He's got DJ Chark, AB, and Fournette. So Fournette does give you a good floor. I think Chark is a decent play. They've got a big question mark at quarterback this week, but he's one of the most accurate deep ball quarterbacks in the league. Not in the league. He was a very good deep ball quarterback in college. I need to specify. He was a decent deep ball quarterback in college. I think he played for Oregon State. So that could lend to a good Chark game, but it's much higher risk. Chark has not been good lately. For the floor play, I would consider going with Fournette and Crowder. For the upside play, I would go with Chark and AB. Sorry, that's a little bit confusing, Ethan. I hope that helps you. It's a full PPR that does give Crowder a boost. That also gives AB a boost, where Chark is a big play guy and Fournette is just a volume running back. So that's a tough one. So GDS, he's got DJ Dallas and Damian Harris. Damian Harris is in a good spot this week against the New York Jets. And DJ Dallas without Carson playing is also in a good spot. But I would go with Damian Harris. And then DJ Dallas not too far behind. So these guys now... if you want to get back to me if you're in a full PPR league or not, that does help a little bit. But DJ Dallas is getting more. I would say he's targeted for more receptions. So it's in a good, more shootout matchup against Buffalo. But it could be I think it's going to be a Tyler Lockett game. Tyler Lockett's going to have a massive game this week. Buffalo gives a ton of fantasy points to the slot wide receiver. Metcalf is, amazing. He could take anything to the house, but I think it's going to be a Tyler Lockett target game. So Damian Harris for the floor, I think DJ Dallas for the ceiling. So tough one. They're really close in the ranks, man. So he's got, I need to get back up here, Le'Veon Bell, Jordan Howard, or Pollard. Mason, that is awful. That is in a tough situation. You got injuries galore. Oh man. Let's see. Let me go to my running back ranks and figure out how I can get you through this one. I think it's got to be. So let me know if it's a full PPR, half PPR. I'm going to assume half PPR. So Le'Veon Bell or Jordan Howard. Man, oh man. I think you got to go Le'Veon. I think you got to go Le'Veon Bell against Carolina. One of these running backs is going to do well in Kansas City, whether it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Le'Veon Bell. Maybe Le'Veon. So if we're going to take a stroll down narrative street here right now, Le'Veon Bell could be more acclimated to the Kansas City offense. He could be trusted more by Andy Reid. Maybe he's better in pass protection than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know. But Carolina gives up a ton of yards to the running back. I think Clyde has a good game, but that doesn't make Le'Veon Bell have 0% chance he has a good game. You're hoping Lev gets in the end zone, or you're hoping he gets receptions out of the backfield. I would just play Le'Veon Bell because he's on an elite offense. I'm not thrilled about playing Jordan Howard, and I'm not Pollard against Pittsburgh is not great. So, Griffin, so if you think all three of A.J. Brown, Jefferson, and Marvin Jones are starts, my RBs are CEH, James Robinson. Sit Robinson, he just had a fantastic matchup against Houston. I would start Robinson and CEH, like I mentioned about Clyde Edwards, Kansas or Carolina gives up so much to the running back. I think Clyde Edwards has a good game. The highest risk option, I guess, would be I would if you're gonna sit someone, I guess I would sit Marvin Jones out of those guys. If Clyde does not have a good game against Carolina, his value has plummeted. This is kind of the last hope for Clyde to have a decent game. If he doesn't, it's going to be a rough one for Clyde Edwards-Helaire owners. It's going to be hard to trust him week to week. This has got to be the week. If he does not, I'm going to be disappointed, and you're going to be disappointed. We're all going to figure out this scenario with Clyde. It's going to be a hot topic. I'll probably have to do a video on Clyde next week if he does not have a good game. So, he's got Gus Edwards or Pollard. So I would go Gus Edwards then for sure. CEH or Dobbins, Troy, I would go Dobbins. Marvin Jones, so Drowsy loves comp is asking about Marvin Jones Jr. or Chris Godwin. Right now I'm projecting that Chris Godwin is out for this game, so I would not want to hang on to him in case. So I wouldn't want to sit Marvin Jones Jr. if Godwin is out. He has a fracture in his hand. He wasn't catching footballs this week. I know he's still questionable to play. I don't know why they don't just rule him out and make it a lot easier for us to figure this out, but right now it's going to be questionable. So I would just go with Marvin Jones Jr. because he's the number one in that offense. The Minnesota defense is terrible, even though they played pretty good against Green Bay last week. I would go with Marvin Jones Jr. just for the safety. But Chris Godwin has been good if he's healthy, fully involved. He's the number one in a very good offense. But that's just we're going risk reward here, Drowsy. If you want to just sit Marvin Jones Jr. down and if Godwin's out, you're gonna have to pick a guy up off waivers. If you have room on your team, great. If not, that's why you start Marvin Jones. Scotty's in the chat, AP all day. Scotty, make sure you share that start sit to our Fanatics group. We have a couple Twitter retweet group chats. We can get that thing retweeted, make sure people come in. I've got 20 watching. Thanks for coming in. I'm going to get to every single one of your questions. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're coming in for the first time. I appreciate all of you. We're growing a really great community here with the Snap. Mackenzie's just killing it on social media, doing the graphics. Producer Scott is involved. He is making sure our YouTube runs smooth, and we're going to make sure that everyone maybe starts the right players. All right, guys. So, Tommy, Sasso, I've seen you here before, plenty. Starting Montgomery over Robinson since Minshew is out. That does potentially downgrade James Robinson. He has been good, but he's in a good matchup against Houston as well. I think James Robinson is in a really good spot. But David Montgomery is also in a good spot at Tennessee. Montgomery has a really good schedule rest of season. He's a guy that we are trying to acquire. So you already have Montgomery on your team, so that is great. You're set for a good fantasy playoffs. Right now, I do have Robinson ahead in my rankings. I would agree that the safety would lie in David Montgomery because of the volume he's getting, because we know who's in at quarterback for Chicago. Nick Foles could start getting better and better the more chemistry he has with everyone in Chicago. So So yeah, that you make a great point, Tommy. James Robinson is the start, but for the safety lies with Montgomery because we know the situation with Minshew. Griffin, I'm also projected to win by like 70 points. Maybe you shouldn't worry about it. But you know what? We are happy you came by, Griffin. I see you every week. I'm just happy you're here watching. I want to thank all of you for coming in. Make sure to like this video, and check out all our other videos. We did a video every single day this week. I hope everyone enjoys the content. We are grinding. This is the time to shine. We're trying to get you to win your fantasy championships. And if you have more ideas on videos you want, drop it in the comments of this video. The actual live chat doesn't stick around, so get in the comments and figure out if you're having trouble with a guy like, I don't know, Antonio Gibson, what to do with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, what to do with DeAndre Swift, Damian Harris. These are just running backs I'm rhyming off, but maybe if you have some tough wide receivers or tight ends, put it in the comments and we will do a video on your guy. That is a promise. Might not be this week, but it will be eventually. We will get to your guys and figure it out, especially if it's a big name. Those are the ones we love to do. So, Evan Rodriguez, thanks, man. Tune in every week. When I have some questions, you have not failed me yet. Thank you. We're the only channel that gets everything answered. We take pride in the interaction we have with you guys. We try to get to every DM on social media, on Twitter. Every single one, guys, and we are trying to work it with you to make sure that you make smart trades, you know what's going on, that we go from beginners, this is your first time playing fantasy football, to guys like us that have 7-10 leagues. You're trying to get some dynasty assets, you're trying to trade for picks, all that stuff. We do it all, guys. We're here grinding with you. So he's got Claypool. Let's see here. I just missed it here. I scrolled down. Claypool, Fuller, or Brown? Troy, I need to know which Brown you're talking about. I'm going to assume Antonio because this is the guy we're talking about nonstop. I think that in a half-point PPR league, which I will also have to assume, that Will Fuller is the start. I would go A.J. Brown ahead of Will Fuller, but I assume you're talking about Antonio Brown. And I'm sure I'll get down on the questions to see... Oh, is my picture crooked? It might be crooked. I think it's falling down. I think it might be falling down. But, yeah. You can see it because my Manscaped logo is straight, but my picture is crooked. So, thanks for noticing. But I'm going to start Will Fuller. I think he's in a great matchup against Jacksonville. Terry McLaurin's in a great matchup this week as well. Claypool is going to be pretty good. He's still a top 20 wide receiver for us. So it's going to be Claypool. It's going to be Fuller, and then AB is going to be down there on the list, but not too far. What do I think about Antonio Brown? I think he's going to be in a great start, especially if Chris Godwin sits. I think the thing is with Antonio Brown, guys, and I know we've got 18 watching right now, Antonio Brown is a full projection play. He's a guy that we have not seen yet this season. We haven't seen him for over a year. We are projecting him to get targets. There is a chance that AB only sees 3 targets. There is a world that he doesn't see any targets, that he's on in limited snaps. But we have to fully project. So the risk factor with Antonio Brown is going to be high. I'm projecting him right now as a top 24 wide receiver, but that is a stretch of a projection. If you just have a good feeling about Marvin Jones Jr., Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, guys I have behind Antonio Brown, you got to go with them because Antonio Brown is a high-risk player. We know that about him. We've seen him, and you got him free off the waiver wire, so you have other good options. I'm seeing it in the chat. Antonio Brown is a very high-risk player. We don't know how long he's even going to last with Tampa Bay. So we hope that he's still that same receiver, that number one receiver we had in fantasy football 2-3 years ago, but it's a full projection. So you got to take that risk factor into it. I'm going to give you my best projection, my best suggestion to what to do with AB. I've got him as well. I'm starting him in a league, so I'm here with you. If he has a bad game, I'm here with you struggling. I'm going to be watching that game very closely to see his involvement, see his snap count, and see what kind of volume he has. I do think if Godwin is out, that Brown has a good game. But it could be that Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, Gronk does it as well. We saw Gronk have to wait a few weeks before he's coming back into form. Now he's that red zone goal line play. Maybe AB is going to be that right away. I don't know. It might take a couple weeks. My strategy with AB right now, if you have him, is to hopefully he has a great week here against New Orleans, and then you sell AB for a lot. You get a locked and loaded wide receiver like DJ Moore, Juju, even like Justin Jefferson, Will Fuller. If you can, if he has a big game this week, you sell him high because you never know. He's a wild card and he could go off at any time. So that's my strategy right now. Hopefully that makes sense to all of y'all. Clamped EZ, Jared Cook or Evan Engram? This is our first tight end question of the week, and I appreciate these questions. I'm going to go with, my gut says Jared Cook, and my rankings also say Jared Cook. I would go Cook over Engram. I think Engram's in a good spot as a top 12 tight end this week, but Cook has the touchdown upside that he always does in a potential shootout against Tampa Bay. So, great question. The official Young Ho Koo YouTube channel. What is going on? I didn't know Young Ho was a fan of the show. DJ Dallas or Rojo? I think I would have to go Rojo this week. He did not have a great week because he fumbled early last week. I will get to your comment there, Captain, but I just jumped to Young Ho right away. DJ Dallas or Rojo? I think it's going to be Rojo. It's hard to predict if Bruce Arians is going to sit Ronald Jones at any time. It could happen at any time. So it is not a great matchup against New Orleans. So you know what? Go with DJ Dallas at Buffalo and sit Ronald Jones down. It's a tough one, though. That's really close. Do you think Chase Edmonds and Fant for Wallers and Swift is a good trade? I feel like I'm good with running back, so leaning towards making that move. If you want to make this trade right now, that's interesting. Edmonds is great. I love Edmonds, but he potentially could be a short-term solution. I prefer the Waller-Swift side of that deal than the Edmonds fan side. So it depends on which side you're getting. I think Swift is a good long-term solution in Detroit. I know he's been inconsistent lately, but I think he's projected to me to be the lead back in Minnesota. Or in Detroit, I mean. Yeah, it's a little bit crooked, guys. Hawkinson or Hunter Henry this week? I would go Hawkinson this week. So start Antonio Brown. Yeah, I'm thinking I will start Antonio Brown. Depends on your other options. 49ers updates. Griffin. Sending one of those 5 for C-Mac. Yeah, I think you gotta start C-Mac. Xander, what is up? What is up, man? We've been talking to you on our socials quite a bit. Thanks for coming in. He's got Mike Williams, Zach Moss, Justin Jefferson. Start one. I would go Justin Jefferson in that, Xander. What is going on? Got to come in and drop it like that and smash that share button. Yes, smash that share button. Smash that like button. We've got 21 people watching, only 19 likes. Let's get that likes up. Share this to your friends, man. We want to grow this community. We want to get involved with all of y'all. We love doing this. We're more than happy doing this and helping you guys talk through your fantasy teams. Again, new people, old people, doesn't matter how long you've been in the fantasy world. We like to talk through your trades, your ad drops, your waivers, your start sits, all that stuff. So thanks, Griffin. What up? This community is growing, and we thank all of y'all for that. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers. Share this to your friends. We do appreciate it. So I was kind of excited to watch AB and Big Mike Thomas. Haven't seen him in a while. I feel you, man. I'm excited too. I need Mike Thomas to have a big game as well. Vin, what is going on? Brady or Lamar? Those quarterbacks couldn't be more opposite right now. I think it's hard to sit down Tom Brady. It's hard to sit down Tom Brady against New Orleans. That should be a shootout. He's got AB back. I mean, it's going to be a fun one. I think you got to go Tom Brady over Lamar Jackson. Never thought I would actually do that. According to last year, man, you got it until you see Lamar have a slate breaking performance, putting up those 40 points. I think you got to go with just the better touchdown throwing quarterback, and that's Tom Brady. So Who would have thought? I was not a Tom Brady believer. I'll tell you that for free. Michael Costanza, what is going on? He's got Chark and Mooney. So, like I mentioned, the quarterback for the Jaguars is a pretty good deep ball quarterback. Hopefully, he can get the ball out. But I would play Chark over Mooney. It's a tough one. Mooney is slowly breaking out, a breakout rookie for the Chicago Bears. So I think DJ Chark is a wide receiver 2 this week. Probably a low end wide receiver 2, maybe a high end wide receiver 3. Where Mooney is kind of the high end wide receiver 3, could boom. But Anthony Miller had his best game last week. We know that that Robinson is their first read. He's the number 1, and Chark should be the number 1 in Jacksonville. That's why I lean Chark. So, yeah, Troy, I knew what you're talking about, brother. Ridley is officially out. That is good. That is kind of what we projected this past earlier on, and now that we know, that is good. We've got officially inactive Ridley, Mark Engram, T.Y. Hilton, Golden Tate, and Jadeveon Clowney. That is big news. Broncos wide receiver Tim Patrick is up, so he is active. That's a dart throw if you're looking at Tim Patrick. Vin, I did talk to your Lamar or Brady. I would go with Brady. Sorry it took a little while. Evan Wheeler, love the content. 2 quick questions. I need a flex. He's got Judy, Gibson, Monty, Marvin Jones, or Ridley. Ridley is out. Also, Gronk or Andrews. Gronk. So you've got some tough decisions here. So start 2, I would go Gibson and Montgomery so he needs 1 flex. Oh man, 1 flex between Gibson and Montgomery. So Montgomery is going to give you the volume. Gibson is kind of that flashy rookie running back that has produced really well lately. I've got Gibson just barely ahead right now at running back 12. Montgomery is in as a running back 14, but it's really, really close. You kind of have to flip a coin between those 2 guys. Between Andrews and Gronk, man. That is tough. Andrews is not the tight end he once was. The volume just isn't there. He always has touchdown upside, no question, but so does Gronk now. So I would go Gronk over Mark Andrews. That's got to make producer Scott happy. He's got Gronk, and I feel like every one of his leagues, he's going to order his Gronk jersey pretty soon because he might win him a championship. You never know. Alexander Smith, he has a question. Deep league. He's got Joshua Kelly versus the Raiders or Pollard, Pittsburgh. It is desperate times. I get it. Totally desperate times, man. This is a tough one. Kelly just hasn't really seen the work. And it's been Justin Jackson every week. It's super tough. Right now, I have Joshua Kelly ahead against Las Vegas. Tony Pollard. So the thing is that they both play at 4 o'clock. So right now, technically, Zeke Elliott is still questionable, so he might play. If it turns out that Zeke Elliott is out, then play Tony Pollard against Pittsburgh. He's going to get all the work. He could stumble into the end zone. He is explosive as a running back and should get the work. Where Joshua Kelly, you are really hoping for a touchdown. He's not going to get the yards. He's just going to get the touchdown. And I know it's a better matchup, but I think that there's a chance that Dallas somehow gets in there and Pollard gets the work. So that's where I would go, Alexander Smith. Deep league, at least you have Pollard, and they're both 4 o'clock games. So if Zeke is in, then you go Joshua Kelly. All right, so thanks for the question. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We've got 22 likes. Thank you, guys. It means the world to me that we're building this community. We are loving all the interactions we're getting. Get us on Instagram and Twitter at snap_fantasy. Get into our DMs. I've got lots of people asking about trades, about start sits, about waivers. This is the time for the start sits because we know all the information we can right now. We have another hour to spend on here. I'm going to Murray or Brady. I would go Brady. Mason, Ali Ellis, what is going on? Pick 2, Godwin, Jefferson, or Claypool. I don't project Godwin to play with his fractured hand or finger, so I'm going to go Jefferson and Claypool. Go with the rookies, Ali. Art, stay chillin'. What is going on? Having trouble. I just need to pick up 1. He's got Mike Evans, Will Fuller, AB. I'm going to go and I'm going to move my thing here so I can see you guys a little bit better. Let me get back to that one. Where am I here? He's got where I am having trouble here. He's got Mike Evans, Will Fuller, AB. I would go Mike Evans and Will Fuller. AB is a dart throw. He's a top 24 wide receiver for me, but Mike Evans technically is still the number 1 in that offense. He still has touchdown upside in the same game. So I would go Fuller and Mike Evans. It's a tough one, though. I want to see, when you're having that kind of scenario, I want to see AB involved, see how much he's in that offense. He hasn't been there that long. I know the reports are saying that he's looking great, but he might get more targets than Mike Evans, but Mike Evans will probably get more yards. But it's hard to say. It's a really tough one. I get that, Art. You're in a hard spot here right now. So Vin, he's got Juju or David Johnson as a flex. I think David Johnson is the flex this week. I know Juju is a great matchup, but maybe it's going to be a James Conner show. And David Johnson set up for a really good matchup as well against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Joker to Bravo. Suggest pickup for Ridley. I have Deontay and Claypool, but can play both. You could play both. I would play Claypool, and if you're looking at a pickup, see if Marvin Jones Jr. is available on your waiver wire still. He might not be. Hard to say who's available for you to pick up, but yeah, that's what I would do. Let's see here. We have another question. We have DeAndre Swift or Fournette. So I think I lean Swift this week. I'm going to check my ranks to make sure that I've got Swift over Fournette. Fournette got a lot of the work this past week, but it was mostly because Ronald Jones fumbled the ball early in the game. I would play DeAndre Swift against Minnesota over Fournette this week. So that is what I would do. I got to bring up the chat again here. Showtime Mahomes 15. Who do I start in my flex? Jonathan Taylor, Jordan Wilkins, Antonio Brown, or risk Jameson Crowder, but questionable. I know Jameson Crowder, if you're in a full PPR league, he is a great wide receiver, but he's still questionable. And I believe that Sam Darnold is out. So we know that Sam Darnold loves Crowder. So I think I would go, if you only have to start one, I think I would just risk it for Antonio Brown. The floor place still lies with Jonathan Taylor over Wilkins for me. Both were questionable this week with different injuries, but they're both active to play. I think last week was a outlier Wilkins game. So that's kind of what I would do. Darnell Mooney is a great option, but he's still a rookie. It's still going to be Allen Robinson there, and Anthony Miller had a pretty good game this past week. Mooney's great. Mooney's a great pickup. I just don't want to trust him quite yet. Do I drop or trade Mark Ingram, Harris, YT? You could probably drop him. If you could find a trade candidate for Mark Ingram, great. Do that. Trade him for just about anything. Trade him for a defense. Trade him for a kicker if they have Rodriguez. Or Blankenship, that's what I'm talking about. You don't want to generally drop good running backs, but Mark Ingram isn't a good running back anymore. He's been banged up. He's doubtful this week. It's going to be the J.K. Dobbins show, and that's kind of what I would do. Tyler, what's up, man? I see you in the chat. We've been talking on Instagram quite a bit. Noah, he's got start James Crowder, Antonio Gibson, Robbie Anderson, or Jonathan Taylor. I would start. It's between Gibson and Anderson for me. Let's see, Gibson or Anderson. Let's figure out who I should play. So Gibson, the running backs always present a safe floor. Robbie Anderson in a good matchup against Kansas City, a potential shootout against Kansas City, I would have ahead. Depends what kind of league you're in. If you're in a half PPR, full PPR league. But it's going to be close. I got Gibson as a top 12 running back, and I've got Robbie Anderson as a top 15 wide receiver. So it'd probably be Gibson, but it's close. They're both good options. I would not consider Crowder or Taylor in those scenarios right now. Joker to Bravo, David Johnson, Montgomery, DJ Dallas, pick 2. I would just go with David Johnson and Montgomery there. Moss or Dobbins, full PPR. I think it's going to be Dobbins for me, but let me check. Dobbins or Moss. I think Moss does have a good game against Seattle. Dobbins is in a tougher spot against Indy, but I do have Dobbins ahead of my ranks. Moss isn't too far behind, but I still think Singletary is going to be involved off and on. Gus Edwards is going to be involved for J.K. Dobbins off and on, but J.K. Dobbins is a better talent. Moss got in the end zone twice last week. That's kind of what saved his fantasy game. Logan, what is going on? Should I pick up Myles Gaskin off waivers? I know he's injured right now, but I don't know if it'll help in the long run. Yeah, I think it'll help. It depends on who you're dropping. Get into our DMs, Logan. Snap_fantasy. See what you got. But I would definitely pick up Myles Gaskin. He's on IR for 3 weeks, but he was really good for Miami. And in 3 weeks, it's going to be a better offense. Tua's going to be better. Everyone's going to be better. He's the lead back when he is healthy. So for sure, if you have an empty spot or a spare spot, definitely do that. Zubin, what is going on, buddy? He's got Josh Allen or Herbert and Juju or Deontay. That's a tough one. You got 2 really good quarterbacks here. I would start Josh Allen over Herbert against Seattle. Seattle's defense isn't great. He's got the rushing floor as well. I know Josh Allen hasn't been phenomenal, so I know it's a hard sit down when Herbert's been phenomenal, but I still believe in Josh Allen and the talent, and I think he bounces back against that Seattle defense. And then he's got the question here, Juju or Deontay. We haven't seen Deontay finish a game recently, so that gives me a little bit of pause for Deontay. When he's fully healthy, he is the number 1 in that offense. He is the number 1 over Juju, but that's the only concern. So maybe just go Juju in that game. Hopefully Juju gets in the end zone, and Deontay just doesn't get hurt again. That's what's going on. Griffin, will y'all cover any other sports with hockey and basketball starting up soon? We're basketball and hockey fans here too. We're Canadian, so we love both of those sports. I don't think we're gonna do it, but you never know. We're Snap Fantasy. We're not necessarily the Snap only football fantasy podcast. So maybe you never know. If it's a slow summer, we might get on this a different sports train. If that's what you guys want to see. Tony, what's up? I've seen Tony here lots before. What's going on, Tony? He's got AB and facing Tom Brady. So should I start him or go Chark or Judy? So it's interesting. That scenario, we get questions about that all the time because Tom Brady's obviously going to pass that touchdown to Antonio Brown. That doesn't really matter to me that much. Right now, I do have Chark ahead of my rankings against Houston. The risk is high with both of those players because Chark has a new quarterback and Antonio Brown this is the first time we've seen him in over a year. So they're both interesting players. I would technically have Chark ahead in the rankings. So that's kind of where I lean. Judy is in a great matchup, but they play Atlanta. It's all close. Judy is lower on my rankings than those two. So in my full ranks, I've got Chark, Brown, and then Judy. But I don't mind switching it up if you want to go with Jerry Judy as a flyer. I think that Atlanta game could be great, and Judy is the number 1 target there. But we did see Tim Patrick activated, so that could be less. And Tim Patrick's been great lately. You can see Jerry Judy not see as many targets as well. So, so I would go. I would go Chark AB on that scenario. So that's a really good question though, Tony. Thanks for coming by, man. I've seen you in here a lot. I think the Hold on here. That was my half PPR. If I go full PPR, let's see if it changes at all. I think it would bring a guy like AB up a little bit. It's still not. It would put DJ Chark still ahead. It doesn't change much, man. It doesn't change much. So that's what I would do. Some hockey takes. Yeah, we love hockey here. We're fans of hockey. Maybe we'll do a video, Scotty. What do you think about that? Yeah, my Matthew's right. We're Leafs fans here, so don't hold that against us, though. Okay. Comfortable starting Godwin today or Chark? I'm just gonna start Chark because of Godwin's finger thing. He's got a fracture. I don't think he plays this week. If you have a solid wide receiver like Chark, I know he hasn't performed great lately, but I think he's in a good matchup against Houston. You just go Chark over Godwin just for insurance purposes. If Godwin doesn't play or he goes out once, catches one pass, and goes out again, that ruins your whole matchup. That ruins your whole week. So that's where I would go. Dylan, what's going on, Dylan? He's got Hollywood or Marvin Jones standard scoring. I think, Hollywood Brown's been bad lately. He's been very, very disappointing. I think you got to go with Marvin Jones Jr. But, I mean, Marquise Brown has more upside. There's no question about that. He could take one pass to the house. The squeaky wheel might get the oil here because he was talking how disappointed he was with the targets he was getting. And I think Marquise Brown could come out and have a big game. They both play defenses Marvin Jones Jr. plays the Minnesota, so it's a really easy defense where Marquise Brown plays a tough defense in Indy. So that's why I first leaned Marvin Jones Jr., but the upside still lies in Marquise Brown as always. Tristan, what's going on? I'll answer your question. We are not like the others, guys. We will answer every single question. I'm not going to answer it 3 times, but I will answer it once. Now, but you have to specify which Brown you're talking about, Tristan. I don't know, man. Like, you could be talking about Antonio Brown because we have that in our thumbnail, or you could be talking about Marquise Brown. I was just talking about AJ Brown. It matters quite a bit which Brown you're talking about. So I will get to your question when you specify, Tristan. But thanks for the question, even though you sent it 3 times. Griffin, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, he's a Texan who's a huge New York. I missed that here. Is Katie here? What's going on here? I missed that, Scotty. But yeah, we don't judge here. I don't judge what your sports affiliate team is. So, Derek, shout out to my girlfriend, Katie. She doesn't understand why I wake up early to watch the show. Katie, I got to shout you out. My girlfriend doesn't understand either why I spend every waking moment on my day off to go to my other job and sit in front of the camera and talk to you guys. I'm having a great time doing this with you, and it's been a long week, guys, but I'm here grinding, making sure that we are making the right start sits. So shout out, Katie. Thanks for understanding that Derek likes the show. He's a big fan. We need a guy like Derek coming in the show to make sure that we interact with the community that we have. Our community is growing. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers. We're getting a couple leaking in, but we need more. I've got 20 watching. Make sure to like the video. Tristan, he's got Antonio Brown or Adam Thielen. All right, I'm going to get to you. I got you right now. You go with Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is a top 8 quarterback right now for me. Antonio Brown is a great wide receiver, but right now he's a full projection right now. Like we hope that AB is going to go back to normal and be a number 1 wide receiver, but we don't know how many snaps he's going to play, how many targets he's going to get. It's just a full-blown projection. So stay with the safety in Adam Thielen. He has a great matchup against Detroit. It could be a little shootout against Detroit. They're playing in Detroit. It's gonna be a good game. So I'm going with Adam Thielen. I do think Jefferson has a really good game. Jefferson has a good matchup, but Thielen's been great as a wide receiver, so go with that. Quishima, what is going on, buddy? I traded Mixon and Fournette for Chubb, making my RBs Christian McCaffrey, Sanders, and Chubb. I don't mind that, man. Mixon's banged up right now. Chubb should be back next week. You're getting guys healthy, but you don't have 2 running backs that are playing this week. All you have is Christian McCaffrey. So that's tricky. I mean, you generally have to start 2 running backs. So unless you're waiting until next week to pull that trigger, that's the thing. You don't need to trade for Chubb right now. You might as well start Fournette in your running back spot and just wait. Like, I don't know who else you're starting, so figure that out a little bit. But yeah, that's what's going on. Jack Beast, Fortnite. Jameson Crowder, AB. Jameson Crowder might be out, and that's my concern. We know AB is in, so I would play AB. We know Crowder has the ton of upside. He's getting tons of targets when he's in the game. He could be a league winner, according to Scott, but AB is for sure in this week, so get it with AB. Full projection, high risk, but better. We know he's not hurt. Tristan, should I start D Swift or Helaire this week? I think both are good starts, but I would start Helaire. He's in the Carolina defense, gives up a ton to the running back. Like I mentioned earlier before you got on, that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if he does not have a good game against Carolina, that is time to sound the alarms. That's time to do a full video analysis on Clyde Edwards. He is a guy that maybe we should be worried about, but this should be a get-right game for Clyde. He's going to want to prove that he deserves to be on the field at every chance he can and make sure Lev stays on the sidelines. So I do like Swift this week. Swift is a top 24 running back for me this week, or pretty close to it. Let me see exactly where I have him. Yeah, he's a top 20 running back for me, but Clyde Edwards is a top 10 running back. So that's how I've got him ranked. He's got Marvin Hall or Sterling Shepard for the flex. UGA Bulldog, what is going on? I've seen you here before. Thanks for coming by. I would go Sterling Shepard over Marvin Hall. Zeke or Pollard. Play Zeke if he's in, and Pollard if Zeke is out. So if Zeke is healthy and in the game, just play Zeke and close your eyes and don't watch the game. If Zeke is out, it makes your option easier and just play Pollard. Griffin, your wife doesn't stand either, man. I was yelling at the TV because I was so close to winning a NASCAR Fantasy Championship yesterday. I woke up the baby. Griffin, man, I am a loud talker. I'm known to be a loud talker. And I have scared my girlfriend when I yell or scream or clap when I get a touchdown. So I feel you, man. I feel you. We've got a couple NASCAR fans with Bobby and other fans of the show. So this is our community interacting. Thanks for coming by, Griffin. I appreciate you coming in. Hopefully we're not here too early that you're waking up a baby. So he's got Justin Jackson. All right. Yeah. So yeah. And the trade goes through next week. So either way, you're fine. So play Justin Jackson over Fournette. You're fine. The trade goes through next week. You're locked and loaded. I would just, for trades like that, when you're trading for a guy that you don't need to acquire. I had a guy a couple of weeks ago. I say that again, Scotty? Yeah. When you trade for a guy on buy, you might as well just trade him after, or trade for a guy that is playing this week to a guy on buy. You might as well wait till they're done and you don't get an injury. I had a guy, one of my good buddies, traded for Gaskin right after that game, and now he's on IR. I had a guy on Instagram trade for Chris Carson before the games last week before Julio went off. He traded away Julio for Chris Carson. I don't want to trade for injured players. You might as well make sure everyone's healthy and trade the midweek before you have a chance for a guy to get hurt, because it happens all the time. So Maxwell Keller, what is going on? He's got DJ Dallas or Jonathan Taylor in a full PPR. Thank you for mentioning it's a full PPR, because that matters. Jonathan Taylor is in a tough spot this week. and he's got DJ Dallas, who is in a much better spot in a possible shootout game. In a full PPR league, I can't believe I'm saying this, I will go DJ Dallas over Jonathan Taylor. What a world we live in, guys, that I'm recommending DJ Dallas to start this week, but that's what you got to do. That's the world we live in, and thanks for coming by, Max. Make sure you like the video. We've got 30 likes, guys. I want to appreciate all of you guys for coming in, hanging out, whether your wives or girlfriends are mad at you, whether you wake up the baby. That's just part of the grind here. We got another almost an hour. We got 40 minutes to still hang out. We're all caught up on questions. I make sure I answer every single question we get. So I can go through some of my scenarios here, because I've got DK Metcalf, DJ Chark, Antonio Brown starting right now for me, and then I've got Devontae Parker on the bench. And I got to figure out here between AB or Devontae Parker. And I'm going to go Antonio Brown to start. It's a tough one because Devontae plays early, but I want to see Tua come out and perform and be better. So I'm going to sit down Devontae until I see that. If Antonio Brown goes off, like I said, I'm going to try to sell AB as best as I can before he has a chance to disappoint on my team. I've got a league where I lost Odell Beckham Jr. and I'm starting McLaurin, Fuller, in the flex. I got to decide between Sterling Shepard. I've got Denzel Mims. I've got Noah Fant, Devin Singletary, Laviska Shenault. I'm going to go with Sterling Shepard right now against Washington. I know I told you guys it's a tough matchup against Washington, but that's where I'm going to lean. I'm going to check out some tweets here right now. I could check out my Instagram as well to see what is going on. He's got Tristan. Tristan's coming back in the... oh, no. Just kidding. My thing changed. All right, guys. I'm going to jump on Instagram. I've got Adam coming in. Justin Jackson or Dallas. I'm going to go Justin Jackson over DJ Dallas. I've got Abel coming in. Who should I start? He's got Zeke. He's got... so sit Zeke down. I'm going to go sit Zeke. Zeke down. Tony. You saved us, Tony. Thanks for coming in, Tony. He's got Gus Edwards, Jordan Howard, or Jonnu Smith and a half PPR flex. My girlfriend is asking what I want from Starbucks. I'm going to go with a Frappuccino. Vanilla bean frap. Jonnu Smith has not been great lately. I do think he's still going to be a good tight end. In a tight end landscape, it's tough. So I would go Gus Edwards over Howard and Jonnu Smith in the flex spot. And it's bad. I know it's bad, but Gus Edwards is going to get some work. It's not a great matchup, and J.K. Dobbins is an elite rookie, but go with Gus Edwards for the volume. Jordan Howard I don't trust yet at all. So maybe Jordan Howard falls in the end zone. That's what you're hoping for. Bold take on the Frappuccino. So Griffin, in a full dynasty league, where do you pick up Sterling Shepard and drop Lamb, or keep Lamb for the future? Dynasty league, I'm not dropping CeeDee Lamb, Griffin. Do not start CeeDee Lamb at all. He is great. He's phenomenal. He's the best prospect we've seen in a while. It's a quarterback scenario. Who else do you have to drop? Send us a picture of if you do it right now on Instagram, I'll go through it right now with you because we have time. We've kind of hit a lull here in the questions. You guys came out hot and heavy early. Get our Instagram, snap_fantasy, or Twitter if you have Twitter. And I'll go through some of your league. I'll give you a little analysis on your dynasty league. I'm back-to-back champions in my dynasty league, bro. I've got a good squad. Just ask Scott. Gus Edwards or Corey Davis, full PPR. I'm going to go Corey Davis because it's a full PPR league, Brian. Excellent question. When it comes to that, Gus Edwards is going to get the volume, but he's not going to get a lot of receptions on the backfield. Corey Davis is on a little bit of a heater right now. So Corey Davis, you got to keep on Corey Davis and get him going. Sleeper nickname is Dumpster Fire. Yeah, I feel that. Instagram. I'm gonna bring up Instagram on here and get it going for you if you're on there, Griffin. But yeah. So I hope everyone's going well. I'm gonna have a little bit of coffee and recharge here. I'm going with the Frappuccino though from Starbucks. You go with the vanilla bean Frappuccino with a shot of espresso in there. That is the key. That is what the guys get. That's what the baristas at Starbucks gets for their drinks. So I highly recommend it if you're into that. So yeah, I don't know what else to do, guys. Here, I'm gonna go on Twitter right now and go start set and see what we have. I'll go with the latest questions. All right, Sam off of Twitter. I need to start 2 at the wide receiver, 1 flex. Jerry Jeudy, Mike Williams, Godwin, DJ Moore, Zach Moss. I'll go Moore and Jeudy. I'm gonna copy our link here so that I can send people to our YouTube channel. And get them back on here. There we go. We got a YouTube question. Cole Beasley or Char? Can't we deal with it? Is it PPR or half or standard? So this year, fantasy guys has been rough for everyone. Beasley is seeing more. Beasley's seeing more targets. Lately, I think Chark's seen targets. He just isn't coming down with them. I'm gonna make sure here that we have Chark. We do have Chark over Beasley. I think you got to go DJ Chark, Mr. Ruiz over Beasley. I know it's a good matchup for Beasley, and Seattle's giving up loss to the wide receiver, but so is Houston. So I would go with DJ Chark even with a new. So PPR makes it closer, but I still think that it's gonna be DJ Chark. I think it's gonna be DJ Chark. Man, it's kind of close. I have a good feeling about Beasley this week, but I really am a DJ Chark believer. So what's that, Scotty? Yeah. So when you guys ask your questions, I'm gonna follow up with making sure if it's a full PPR, half PPR standard, if you're kind of behind in the matchup or full. We have time now, so we can get into your specific questions. What is your Griffin? What is your? Okay, I see it here now. Oh, this is you on here. Okay, I've seen you on here before, Griffin. This is your lineup. He's got Robinson, Clyde Edwards, Lockett, A.J. Brown, Ebron, Jefferson, Marvin Jones Jr. That's a good first screen. Next, he's got McCaffrey on the bench, which is excellent. He sat down Aaron Jones, Robert Tonyan, Ridley, Lamb, Kittle. So I would drop Robert Tonyan. I know you lost Kittle, but you still have Eric Ebron. But Robert Tonyan isn't necessarily an elite option like CeeDee Lamb is. So check to see. You need an IR spot for George Kittle. If you can put Kittle on IR, then you could get him and pick him up for free. So that's what I would do. I know you've got a super solid team, man. So I would stick with that, and you could just drop Tonyan. I know Ebron's the over tight end, but he will probably produce a little bit more for fantasy. Or try to make a deal. Try to make a 2-for-1 deal. On that scenario, you have really good running backs. Maybe you sell Robinson high. I know we've talked to you a lot on here, so So yeah, that's what's up, man. So thanks for the interaction. I stream a tight end in defense right now. Yeah, I can't move him right into IR right now because he already played. Sleeper won't let him move. Yeah. Maybe you can do Ridley on IR if he's out. Some leagues let you allow out players on IR, so check that out. Yo, we are live on YouTube. Come by. Shepherd. Sterling Shepard or Russell Gage? I'm gonna go Shepard over Gage this week. Thanks. Tony, as a Clyde owner, standard league. I also have Bell and need wide receiver depth. Drop Bell for Hollywood Cooks. So those, I mean, yeah, I would add Hollywood or Cooks definitely. There's some good guys on your waiver wire. Do I want to drop Le'Veon Bell though? It's tough. It's in a standard league. You definitely need to add one of these guys, but yeah, I mean it's tricky. It looks like there's lots of wide receivers on your waiver wire, so you don't really need to jump over. Like I would add Brandon Cooks for sure. Hollywood is set for rebound. Hopefully a couple weeks. It's been a little bit tough. The Ravens playoff schedule is really good, so it might be this is the time to add Hollywood Brown. Looks like you're in a pretty shallow league, like an 8-team league or 10-team league. But thoughts on Valdes-Scantling? We did talk about that in our podcast this past week. Valdes-Scantling, that was a spike week for Valdez. I don't expect him to get that kind of production week in and week out. I think he had 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's an outlier. Valdes-Scantling doesn't need to be added. He doesn't need to have super waiver priority on him. Alan Lazard is coming back, so yeah, Valdes-Scantling isn't an every week start, despite what just happened this past week. So thanks for the question, Griffin. Single, start Josh Jacobs or Melvin Gordon or Antonio Brown in the flex. Man, you got to start Josh Jacobs. He is excellent. He had like 34 carries last week. So he's I know he was banged up this week, but if he plays, you got to play Josh Jacobs. They have a good matchup against the Chargers, so you got to go with Jacobs. Ranger, should I trade Michael Thomas for DeAndre Hopkins? Yes. Ranger, yes, you should. If you can do that right this second, I would do that right this second. Trey S. Sorry, big list here. No problem. We got lots of time. Appreciate you guys. Full PPR, choose 3. Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, Melvin Gordon, DeAndre Swift, Fournette, or Marvin Jones. Thanks, mate. No problem. So we have, I think Chris Godwin is scheduled to be out this week. I'm sitting down Chris Godwin. He's got a fracture in his hand or a finger. So that's kind of a sit down for me. Between DJ Moore, Melvin Gordon, DeAndre Swift, Fournette, Marvin Jones, I'm looking at DeAndre Swift and I'm looking at DJ Moore. Those are the guys that stand out right away. Melvin Gordon is pretty good, but Philip Lindsay is playing and has shown that he is a very good dynamic running back. So he's going to take a lot of work away from Melvin. If Melvin has a good game this week, I am selling Melvin Gordon in all formats. I sold him a couple weeks ago, actually. So yeah, I would start Swift against the Vikings, and I would go with DJ Moore in that matchup against Kansas City. Marvin Jones is in a good spot. I understand that. He's got upside. He's the number one of that offense, but I still believe that DJ Moore is a better wide receiver. And again, he had a disappointing week last week. If you just want to ride the hot hand and go Marvin Jones Jr., that's not a terrible play. But right now, I still have maybe false hope in DJ Moore that he's a better wide receiver than what he has shown. Late in that game last week, DJ Moore got a couple targets late and was dynamic with the football. We hope in Kansas City it's a shootout, and Kansas City gives up a bunch of points, and Teddy Bridgewater still has to keep on throwing the football. with Christian McCaffrey back, I think this presents more first downs, more opportunities that will help guys like DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson more get opportunities. That's what people sometimes don't understand. If you say there's too many mouths to feed in Carolina, I believe that more first downs and more opportunities will provide you with more fantasy points. So that's kind of what's going on here. Pick 2 between Godwin, Antonio Brown, Deontay, and Brandon Cooks. That's a tough one. I think that's tricky. Let's see here. I would right away. My gut is saying that you should start Brandon Cooks in that really good matchup against Jacksonville. I would go with Deontay, between Deontay and Antonio Brown. I've got Antonio Brown a bit higher because Deontay is banged up. I know he's gonna play this week, but we've seen him when he's healthy, he's elite, and if he's healthy, he's a top 10 wide receiver. But against Dallas, they might not need him to be that guy. They might just sit him down if they get into a big league. So so I would go with AB and Brandon Cooks right now, my man. Chris Godwin, I don't think he's gonna play. So, all right, Godwin expected to play now. All right, so if Godwin expects to play, that I suppose changes a little bit. I would play straight up. I would play Godwin over AB if they both play. So, there you go. There you go. All right, Curtis Moore just joined for my question from Twitter. Yo, what up? Am I high if I put Antonio Brown the flex over Mike Evans? So thanks, Curtis, for coming in. I might have replied to you. Thanks a lot for coming by. So you're not necessarily high, but I do have Mike Evans ahead of AB right now. I'll talk about AB because we've talked about him a lot. Antonio Brown is a full projection, and he's really a boom-bust play right now because we haven't seen him play for over a year. If you have a good feeling about Antonio Brown, you just got to go with him. If that's your guy, you just got to go with him. You're sick and tired of Mike Evans getting 2 touchdowns on 2 receptions for 2 yards. I get it. But right now, we haven't seen him play. We don't know if he's going to play 2 snaps. We don't know if he's going to play 24 snaps. We just don't know how quickly Bruce Arians is going to get him back in that offense. So with that all being said, I think I'm having Antonio Brown as a top 24 wide receiver. I have Mike Evans as a top 17 wide receiver. So I'd put him first. We saw him get more targets last week, which is great. We're hoping New Orleans scores touchdowns on the Tampa Bay Bucs so that it's a better shootout game and Tom Brady keeps having to push the ball downfield. I do think I'm projecting that AB gets his this week, probably gets 9 targets. I think that would be great. 7 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown. I think that's a great game for AB. And then after that point, we got to sell AB. We got to sell him before things go off the rails. That's kind of the thing. I don't think he's, as of right now, and I'll be watching that game closely, I don't think he's a league-winning wide receiver at this point. But if you have him and you got him for free off the waiver wire and you got to roll with him this week, do that. If he goes off on your bench, sell him. If you have good options like Mike Evans, that's kind of what you got to do. So Curtis, thank you for coming by. We appreciate it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're getting new guys in all the time. We appreciate the community. Get us on Instagram and Twitter at snap_fantasy. And we will get to every single question. We're not like the big guys, and we only answer 10%, if that. I'm getting into it with all you guys, so that's what I am. That's what I'm here for. So Captain is back in the chat. What up, Cap? I think I've got a Frappuccino delivery coming in soon. We got DJ Dallas or Cole Beasley. I'm gonna go with DJ Dallas in a half PPR league. Going with the running back presents a lot more safety and still upside with DJ had 2 touchdowns this past week. So I think there was another question from Curtis. I'll get to that. Separate league from my others. He also has AJ Brown and Marvin Jones. AJ Brown, you just gotta start your stud. Edward, what is up, Edward? Thanks for coming in. I haven't seen your name yet. So he's got Deontay or Hollywood in a full PPR. I would go with Deontay. I know I've kind of been crapping on Deontay a little bit, but Hollywood hasn't shown us really anything. Deontay always has upside. If he's fully healthy, and he is such a good wide receiver, I really do like him. I just am sick of him going off and like sitting down on the sideline. So yeah, that's what's up. Griffin, Tom Brady is head over heels for AB. Yeah, I know it's all narrative based, guys. So like we're talking about AB, but it's all based on a narrative street that he's going to be good, that he's going to get targets. We just haven't seen it. If I see 10 targets for AB for the next 3 weeks, hey, then we have something to go off of, and that's how we can do some accurate projections. But right now, we just go off of what we've seen off of social media or practice reports. We don't really know yet, so that's why there's still risk involved. So, Kevin, Mason, PPR, Amari Cooper, Samad or Perrine, LaMichael Perrine, or Jonathan Taylor, the flex. Oh man, so I think I go Jonathan Taylor. I don't know who. I think Cooper Rush is quarterback for the Cowboys this week, and I think like Taylor hasn't been good, but I still believe in the hype of Jonathan Taylor. But it's close. So Taylor right now is a top 24 running back for us. Cooper is around wide receiver 28 for us. So in a full PPR, I think that does change it, and potentially I would go with Amari Cooper. But man, Cooper had 1 target last week. We're hoping, again, it's got to be narrative that the new quarterback for Dallas just loves Amari Cooper. We don't know. Maybe he loves Gallup. Maybe he loves CeeDee Lamb. Maybe they just run the ball 1,000 times in Pittsburgh, and maybe it's going to be a big Tony Pollard day. A lot of question marks for Dallas right now. Cooper for the upside, Taylor for the floor. But that's kind of where I'm going with that one. That's tricky. I'm not really a purring guy this week. It's a tough matchup. What's going on, guys? It's game day. Colts, baby, let's go. I'm Taylor, man. I'm big. I bought Taylor in a league. I'm crossing my fingers. I think he's a great contrarian play on DraftKings. If you don't know me, I'm a big DraftKings guy. I like to play a lot of matchups. I've got a couple, half an hour now before I can maybe do another Million Maker lineup. Maybe I'll be doing this full time if I win $1 million, guys. I'll just be talking to you guys about who to play on DK. He's got DK and Lockett. Should I trade Tyler or keep them both? I would go, you know what? It's not the end of the world if you keep them both, but if you can get full value for a guy like Tyler Lockett being the number 1 wide receiver in some formats, you could definitely go with Tyler. I think this week it's going to be a Tyler Lockett game. So, I mean, they seem to have good games kind of opposite from each other, so we know that at least one of them is. So if you start one, you start both, I mean, they're not together, they're not going to mess up your team. But if you can get full value, it depends on the value you can get for these guys. I would consider trading them. We did a Tyler Lockett video this week. I did. So get into our DMs. Derek, you may have already. But we can help you out with some trades. You've got to get full value for these guys. If you can get... but the one is Tyler, right? You want to trade Tyler Lockett? I don't blame you. Metcalf's been phenomenal. All right, we got more questions. This is awesome, guys. Thanks for coming back in. We got another 10 or 15 minutes left to go here. He's got, if Josh Jacobs ends up being out, which is possible, do I start Melvin Gordon or Antonio Brown at the flex? I would go with in a half, so in a full PPR league, I would go with Antonio Brown. In a half PPR league, I would go with Antonio Brown. I think Philip Lindsay is the real deal, and he's coming out and doing well this week. The running back always provides some safety to this game. So if you're projected to win, let's say, and Josh Jacobs is out, if you're projected to win, then go with Melvin Gordon for the safety, because against Atlanta, there's no question he can get in the end zone. So, yeah, that's what I still. And Antonio Brown is still good. Like, we're still, the high risk play is AB, but the safety is going to be with Melvin. So, Make sure to like this video, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers, and we're grinding here all the time. So Ben Gunter, what is going on? I haven't seen your name before. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. He's got Slayton or Juju. And I love Slayton. I love Darius Slayton. I traded for him in a dynasty league that we're in. But as your other option, you have Juju Smith-Schuster in a really good matchup. So I would go with Juju against Dallas, hoping that it's going to be the Juju show and he can have a big game. So Slayton is that deep threat guy. Washington is pretty good against the wide receiver. We're seeing Sterling Shepard get more targets, but Darius Slayton get those deep balls. And if he comes down with more, he's going to be great. But Juju, I think, is a good safe play against Dallas, who's a bad defense. So Vivek, what is going on, Vivek? This isn't for me, but I just want to know, at point, what are fair trades for Zeke? So Zeke, especially after this week potentially being out, he's a good trade high or trade low for candidate. You're getting volume out of Zeke, and you're getting, but the upside is gone, I think, with Zeke Elliott. Like, he doesn't have the 3 touchdown, 180-yard games like he used to have. Like, he doesn't have the Derrick Henry upside or even the James Conner upside. So you could get Zeke Elliott for some lower end running backs or wide receivers, like guys that are booming lately. But he's a high risk trade for candidate. Like Damien Harris, okay, I would trade Damien Harris for Zeke, right? Especially if Damien has a big week. Don't trade for Zeke right now though. Wait a week, because he's likely not going to play, and even if he does, he plays Pittsburgh. And then I will have to check to see when Dallas has their bye week. I think they have the bye week next week. So don't trade for Zeke right now. There's no point, I guess, unless you have a week 10 bye, then potentially I get, or sorry, not a week 10 bye, a week 10 trade deadline. But then after that, they play Minnesota, Washington, Baltimore, Cincinnati. He's going to be a sorry guys, my throat is getting dry. He's going to be a guy that doesn't win anyone really like fantasy championships. He's going to be a guy that gets you a safe floor at running back if you're desperate. He'll give you that 7 to 9 point PPR floor potentially. But right now, maybe they just their season's done. Maybe they just sit Zeke down rest of season. Maybe that's why he's a surprise inactive this week against Pittsburgh. Zeke Elliott's an Iron Man lately, or in the past few years. He doesn't sit out games unless he's suspended. So I'm surprised that Zeke's out this week. So maybe he might be just out indefinitely. You don't know. You don't know. So I can only relay the stuff that I know. And there's a lot of question marks behind Zeke right now. Melvin Gordon or Slayton at the flex. I think Melvin Gordon presents the floor and Slayton presents the ceiling. So in a full PPR league, it's going to be Darius Slayton, and a half PPR safety spot, you go Melvin Gordon against Atlanta. So great question though. Harris YT, do I drop Mark Ingram for Justin Jackson and play them instead of Juju? I would still play between Justin Jackson and Juju. I think it's pretty close. And we just hit 580 subs. Thank you for coming out, guys. I just got producer Scotty in my ear. Thanking you all for coming in. We appreciate you. Make sure to like the video. So between Juju and Jackson, I'm going to go Justin Jackson this week. So yeah, add Jackson and play them over Juju. That's what I would do. Jackson could be a top 12 running back this week against Las Vegas. So it's a last minute move, but do it up. Harris YT. Joseph Dallas asks, AB or McColl? McColl got lots of play this week. Lots of targets this past week. I don't expect that to continue. I think Demarcus Robinson is going to get his as well. I think I would go Antonio Brown over McColl Hardman. Carr or Luton at QB? I would go Derek Carr, Philippe. I would go Derek Carr. Derek Carr is at a really good spot this week. Don't question that. AF24 is asking Josh Allen or Cam Newton. I would go Josh Allen. I'm sitting down Cam Newton wherever I can. Brandon Charles, since Gaskin is out, should I play Jordan Howard? Depends on your other options, Charles, but go with Howard if you have no other options. Hunter is asking, should I start AB or Cole Beasley? I would start AB. Kicks my game. What up? Part 2 question, Gurley, DJ Dallas, Gibson, Cole Beasley, Hollywood or Randall Cobb. So at wide receiver, I'd go Hollywood, and at running back, I would go Gibson. Thank you, new subscriber. Thanks, Ben. We appreciate you, man. CEH or Justin Jackson, I would go CEH, Sam. Week 10 is their bye. Yep. Crowder or Godwin. They're both questionable. Godwin, I think, is expected to play. I think it was what I saw, so maybe go Godwin. We did a Zeke video. Griffin took immunology quiz and don't remember answer, guys. AJ Brown or Marvin Jones. AJ Brown. Juice World, need a flex. Gurley, Marvin Jones, Devontae Parker, Robbie Anderson. I would go Robbie Anderson this week. Of those guys. Josh Brooks, what should I do? I have Brandon Cooks, Mike Williams, Mike Evans, Cole Beasley, DJ Moore. I would go Mike Evans, then Brandon Cooks, and then DJ Moore, Mike Williams, Cole Beasley. Depends. It does matter if you go with a half PPR or full PPR league, but that's how I would order them. I think Brandon Cooks has a pretty good game and a good matchup against Jacksonville. We've shown that anyways. Marvin Jones or Brandon Cooks, I would go Brandon Cooks. Evan Engram or Jonnu Smith, I would go Evan Engram. We've seen more targets for Evan Engram lately. I think Jonnu Smith is set for a good bounce back game, but I cannot guarantee that. He's been disappointing lately. Flex Scary Terry or Claypool, I would flex Terry McLaurin. Bills D or Seahawks D in the same game. I would probably go Seahawks D since Josh Allen is more turnover prone and takes more sacks potentially than Russell Wilson. Doesn't matter to me there, Felipe, who scores the most points. Really, you're just all about sacking the quarterback and turnovers. Gus Edwards or Jordan Wilkins, I would go Gus Edwards. Samuel, Juju or Claypool, I've got Juju slightly ahead, but it's honestly a toss-up. Both guys can do well. If you want to go with the upside, maybe go Claypool. He can take anything to the house at any times. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. We're trying to grind and get to 600 subscribers. We posted a video every single week, and I get to every single question here. So if a like for the video and a subscribe to the channel goes a long way. You can get us in our DMs on social media, snap_fantasy. Ask away. We can go with any of these guys in our feed right now. They can vouch for us that we have talked to them on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter a lot. So if you need specific information, make sure you get us on socials, our DMs. All right. This might seem idiotic, but do I think Snell will be running in a blowout game to preserve Connor? I think that's not idiotic. I think Snell is a sneaky play, but I cannot project that, unfortunately. I think Connor will still do well. I think I did that a couple weeks ago with Gus Edwards in a DraftKings lineup, and he got some good work, but yeah, I think Snell, I've seen him get into the goal line package sometime and vulture a touchdown away from James Conner, but it's a risky play. I would not start Snell over Zeke. Zeke might be missing this game. I think Zeke is out for this game. So if that's your only other option to start Snell, sure, go for it. But I'm not starting Snell anywhere if I can. So Young Narrow, what is going on, buddy? What's going on, man? I lost Kittle back in week 8. I'm stuck with either Dawson Knox or Greg Olsen. Dawson Knox is back. I'm actually a big Dawson Knox fan. His measurables are phenomenal. But I think I would go with Olsen in a projected good shootout game. You're hoping for a touchdown from either. I'm not sure how involved Dawson Knox is going to be. Tyler Kroft is still around, so I would go with Greg Olsen at Buffalo over Dawson Knox. So, good question, though. I love Dawson Knox. I think he's a great talent. I just need to see it first, I guess. Godwin or DJ Moore. I would just go DJ Moore in case Godwin is limited in that game. DJ Dallas or Juju PPR. I think I answered that question. I would go I think I would go DJ Dallas. I may have switched my answer. Yeah, thanks, Felipe. Yeah, we try to get that Zeke or Jonathan Taylor. Tom, not Brady. I would go with Jonathan Taylor because I think Zeke is out. So subscribe to the channel, guys. Make sure to like the video. We're having a lot of fun here. One more question. DJ Moore, AJ Brown, and Montgomery. Pick 2. I would go AJ Brown and Montgomery in that scenario. Thanks for coming by, guys. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And thank you for coming by. Full PPR, AB, Chark, Deontay. I would go with Chark, number 1. I would go with AB, number 2, and Deontay, number 3. Soof, what up? With all the fireworks and all that stuff. Lamar or Justin Herbert? I would go with Justin Herbert over Lamar Jackson. You can't stay in the flames. AB or Claypool? That's kind of just an upside play. Both have upside. We've had lots of AB talk so far. I will finish it off with some AB talk. We are fully projecting Antonio Brown this week. We don't know how involved he's going to be. I'm projecting him right now as a top 24 or so wide receiver in fantasy this week. So I have him above guys like Juju and Deontay and potentially Chark. Potentially Chark I would have Antonio Brown ahead of. But it's fully based on how high, how into it you are. So it's going to be high risk, high reward. So I would technically have AB ahead, but not far behind is going to be Chark or Deontay. So if I go between Claypool as well, I'm going to have... So we'll start Claypool in a better matchup for the upside over AB. All right, guys. I would go Carr over Cam Newton. All right, guys. Thanks for coming by. We are done. It's 12:45. It's been an absolute grind. Thank you for coming by, guys. If you need specific questions in the last 15 minutes, get into our DMs and make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. We do videos all week long. We're going to have another probably 4 or 5 coming out this week. We do a waiver show. We've got some start sits all week long. Thanks, guys, for coming out, and we will see you next time. Yeah.